Hello and welcome back to my channel. My name is Gemma and I'm coming to you as always from my home in Devon, where I live with my husband, my son and my cat, 2 cats and a dog. So really quickly, if you're new to the channel, I used to run a local yarn shop. I used to have a hand-dyed yarn company. Knitting and crochet and fibre crafts and crafting in general just fill my cup. They make me so happy and help me with mental health and all those sorts of things, all that good stuff that everyone knows about, so we don't need to go into it. We've moved to Devon from across the country, uprooted our lives and changed everything, and we are now building our kind of family life here. And that's you pretty much caught up. This channel is predominantly still knitting and crochet and fibre crafts, but other things do get peppered in. So I might take you into the kitchen with me and we'll do some baking, or I might be pottering in the garden, or we go for lovely walks around Devon. So there's a fair mix of things. So if that sounds like your cup of tea or whatever your beverage of choice is, then hopefully you will enjoy these. So my apologies for being away for the past month. I will explain at the end for those who are interested in what's happened. Let's get into the crafting creative content, because I know that is what you are really here for. So first of all, I have 2 finished objects to share with you. I mean, you'd think I'd have something, having been away for a month. I have 2, neither of which will blow you away. They're not amazing, but they're finishes and I'll take that. So the first is my stepmother-in-law's penny gloves that I made for her birthday. I used a self-striping sock yarn, a head over heels. I think it's head over heels, Walking Through Nature sock yarn by Stylecraft. And I held it double with Candy Girl, which is a hot pink, like seriously spicy pink, Kidsilk Haze by Rowan that I had in stash from my days in the yarn shop. And the effect was so beautiful. I really, really loved them. It's ever such a simple knit. If you are thinking about maybe getting into socks, but a little bit scared by the heel turns and the gussets and all that sort of thing, actually the penny gloves would be a really good kind of gateway into that for you. It's small diameter needles, so you're talking 2.5. I think she says a 3, but I did mine on a 2.5 because I like a nice tight penny glove. And knitting in the round with a few stitches, and you get a little bit of gusset as well, a little bit of shaping for the thumb, and then you're done. So it's a really nice entry. It is a paid for pattern, but it is a really nice entry one. I know people have fiddled about with gauge and made it work for DK and other things. I haven't done that yet, but I have done the 4-ply and mohair held together. So I don't have them with me to show you, which is why you've got a picture, because despite the fact they've been in my house for over a month finished, it was my stepmother-in-law's birthday in February, we actually only just caught up with them this past Thursday, Saturday today, and they have now been given to her. So irony of ironies, I've had all this time to film them and you've just got to deal with a picture. I think she likes them. I haven't heard, so I'm hoping they've gone down well. But I really enjoyed making them. And once you give a gift, well, it's none of your business anymore, is it? So my second finished object, I started, end of February? Middle or end of February. So I taught another 2 courses at local yarn shop Wool on the X, which is a community interest company yarn shop in Exeter. And I'm very, very lucky to be one of their tutors. I have 2 courses at the moment that I run on a regular basis. The first being top-down sweaters in the round, which is a course I led at the Yarn Dispensary as well. And the second is introduction to knitting in the round, which you'd think would go that way, but anyway. So at the latter end of February, I taught a full day course, and I always cast on a flax sweater with my students so I can show them how it works, because it's the idea is we do a baby size sweater so that over the course of the day you get all the skills you need to go off and do your own full size sweater, and you can access all those beautiful top down in the round patterns that are out there online. Thing is, my son needs another flax sweater like he needs a hole in the head. He's also getting big, so I'm now knitting the 4 to 6 year size, which is taking significantly longer than it used to. And I didn't want to buy any more yarn. I've got a sizable stash. I'm pretty much out of worsted weight yarn now. I just didn't want to buy any more. And then, as luck would have it, the lady who now runs the local yarn shop that I used to run is becoming a second time grandmother in the summer to a little boy. And she happened to tell me this the night before I taught this course. And in December, I was the very lucky recipient of the West Yorkshire Spinners mystery box, and I won lots of glorious West Yorkshire Spinners yarn. And in the box was this. Well, no, actually, that's misleading. This wasn't in the box. The yarn that made this was in the box. There we go. Isn't it pretty? I'm afraid it's another Flax. I'm so sorry. You must be sick to the back teeth of seeing them. But actually, no, because some people watch channels that are pretty much just dedicated to socks. So I know it's okay. But if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And this is such a fab go-to pattern. It's completely free. The app is brilliant. It's a free downloadable app, and you can have access to the free patterns on it, and it keeps your place, and there's tutorials and room for you to make notes. It's blimmin' marvellous. So I did, sorry, that's a spoon. I did a DK weight Flax for this little baby, and I've literally cast it off last night, hence the ends not being woven in. I've got a fantastic bruise there. I'll tell you about that later. And I did the 0 to 6 month size, which whipped up really, really quickly. I should have finished it within a week, but life. I tell you at the end, there was life. If you're not watching to the end, trust me, there's good reason. And I really love it. So this is the Bo Peep Luxury Baby DK, which is 48% nylon, 52% Falkland Merino, or the other way round. It's a 48-52. Don't try and snap it with your hands. Get scissors, because you will garrot your own fingers and it's horrible. There's such a lot of nylon content in here, but it washes up like an absolute dream. And look at the stitch definition, isn't it pretty? Stocking stitch is always a bit dodge, I find, because there's nowhere to hide. So if you're having a stressful time, or you fall asleep partway through your knitting, or you're distracted, or you twist a stitch or drop a stitch, it shows. But this yarn, I think, really does look lovely. I did the garter stitch panel. And I don't really need to go into too much detail about that, because if you've been to my channel, you've seen lots of Flax sweaters. It is a free pattern. Beautifully written, great fun to knit, and I don't actually need the pattern anymore. I reference it in terms of, because I knit different sizes, I reference it in terms of how many stitches to cast on at the top and how many inches the yoke needs to be, and the body and the arms. But it's literally just quick reference points. I think I've knit like 8 of these now. My son actually yesterday insisted on wearing an old one that Jude's mum had made for him. I was going to say when she was still alive. Obviously, she hasn't made it posthumously. But when Jude's mum found out I was expecting, she knit a beautiful Flax sweater for my son. And he first wore it when he was about 6 months old. And he's 3 years and, he's nearly 3.5 years old now. And he just about squeezed into it yesterday. I'll put a picture up. They're just lovely. They're lovely, lovely sweaters. Top down, in the round. Thumb method or long tail cast on for a nice stretchy opening. So I am going to weave the ends in, give it a gentle block, and send that down in the post to the yarn shop. We're ready to welcome this baby. He's going to be born in July, and this is 0 to 6 months, so it should do sort of September onwards, and it's DK, so it's not too heavy. DK double knit. Okie doke. That's it for finished objects. I will just show you this one. Please don't switch off. Please don't switch off. I'm literally going to flash it at you. All right, are you ready? Collective groan, roll your eyes, whatever you want to do. Yes, it's another Blimmin Flax. This is the one I cast on in January. I spoke to you about it quite a while ago. It was just after we lost Alan's grandma. And as such, I haven't charged through it like I usually would. I just didn't have any mojo for knitting for about a month after we lost Alan's grandma. So this is the state of play at the moment. There you go. So I'm going down the body. Now, in contrast to this little one, this one needs to be 8.5 inches from the underarm to the hem. And my son has a long body. This is the 4 to 6 year size. So I'm actually going to do 10 or 11 inches, I think, just to make sure it's going to fit him for as long as possible. This one is in West Yorkshire Spinners Colourlab Aran. It's beautiful. I love the red. Red is his best colour. So yeah, that's all there is to say about that one. My next work in progress for knitting, and then I can see my husband's just pulled up with my son in the car outside, and we're going to be planting some carrots and things today. We need to get our planting done for spring. So I will then pause and come back to you either today, possibly tomorrow, depending on what happens. I'll just finish up the knitting works in progress though. Oh, I'm in the middle of a row. For goodness sake, I really thought I wouldn't be. Is the Moira Rose Shawl. Now I did a lot of this while I was away in Essex looking after my mum. I'll explain more later or tomorrow. And I'm onto the lace border. Can you see that very clearly? I'm not sure. It's feather and fan with some pearl stitches in between and some garter. I think it's really beautiful. It's really effective. I'm probably 2/3 of the way through the border now. It's a really enjoyable pattern, and now I've kind of got into the rhythm of tracking what row I'm on and what to do where the stitch markers were. I did actually add in extra stitch markers, I think. These extra? I did actually add in some stitch markers for the middle, which I seem to have lost. Anyway, just to help me keep track, because when you have to undo a row of this, even very simple lace, it takes forever. And of course, you're increasing every row as well, or every other row. Every other row? You're increasing 4 stitches every row, so it gets exponentially bigger. If I stretch this out, you can see. So this is all, it's increased this much over the however many rows I've done. It's so beautiful, but it does take a long time to unpick if you go wrong. And I'm not proficient enough with my lace yet. So it's called the Moira Rose. It's all bunched up so you can't really see it, but I'll do my best. And there you go. So you've got this beautiful feather and fan spine, and then you've got the lace at the bottom. Now this was intended for my grandma's birthday. It was always going to be slightly late, but then everything that's happened has meant it's very late. But never mind, Mother's Day next weekend, maybe I can get it finished and in the post. It all depends on life stuff, which I'll talk to you about at the end, if you're interested. If you're not, I'm aiming for a deadline I've missed. No surprise there if you've been here for a while. I'm using my own hand-dyed yarn. So this is neutral tones, or lead. Pretty sure this is neutral tones. And this is oxide, which is like iron oxide. It's got flecks of red and orange in, but you can't really see them very clearly on camera. So that's my own hand-dyed yarn. My grandma wears a lot of jewel tones and she's got white hair. So I thought this would really go well with all her wardrobe and be something that she can wear and enjoy. All right, I'm going to do that thing now where I speak to you a bit later, I think, although I don't know what he's up to. Let's see. Let's just quickly whiz you through crochet, and then I'll be able to come back and know where I am when I come back to talk to you again in a minute. So I spent quite a long time winding rather big balls of yarn. They're pretty much as big as my head. They're like space balls. In the colours that my husband wants in his blanket, because he went through all my minis and chose the order he wants them in. So this is the rest of his blanket. I'm working through, you can see one's slightly smaller than the other. I'm working through those at the moment. And last time I showed you this blanket, where's the stitch marker? There is a stitch marker on here somewhere. Why can't I see it? Have I taken it off? Has it fallen off? How? Oh no, there it is. Look, it's camouflaged. So you might just be able to see this dangling here. Last time I showed you my crochet blankets, I was down there. I am now up here. So I've put quite a lot of progress on to that one. It's just a granny square. It's nothing particularly special. I am slightly regretting the big, bold, almost solid colours in the middle now, because especially that brown, it kind of seems to jar for me because my husband's designed the rest in kind of a fade. That is a little bit in your face, but you live and learn. You live and learn. So that's that one. My son's one was down here last time I showed you where the penguin is, and I'm now up there. It's bright, it's bold, it's beautiful, I love it. Don't mind the solid in the middle at all, because there are blasts of solid throughout. I've put in a fibre punk rainbow one, and I'm currently putting in a bamboo silk kind of peachy one as well. My son's very lucky, isn't he? With the guest one, so this is, Lee's decided this is hers, essentially, because she's going to be the first one to use it. She won't be the only one to use it, she'll be the first. Oh, it looks quite big, doesn't it now? Where's my stitch? Can you see my stitch marker? I can't. What is the case of the missing stitch markers at the minute, isn't it? There was definitely one on there. Have I done with it? Bear with me a moment. I'm just going to try and find... Ah, there we go. Oh no, it's broken. That's such a shame. So this Ice Lolly stitch marker. So I haven't put too much on that, but I'm absolutely loving these hot, hot pinks. There we go. Oh, it's probably the biggest one, actually, of the three so far. I'm not going to dig out my granny stripe now because it's too big, too cumbersome. And as I said, my husband is waiting in the car. I think he can see me filming and is waiting for me to stop and tell him he can come in. So I'm going to do that. We're going to do some planting and I'll come back and tell you all the rest of the crafty stuff I've been up to. If you are choosing to leave me here, totally fine, totally understand. I know all the other crafty stuff isn't for everybody. And I will see you next time. If you are carrying on, maybe this is a good point to put a pause in. Go and get yourself a cuppa, another cuppa and a project and come back and we'll chat all the other crafty bits I've been up to. Hello and welcome back. It is a little bit later. It's nearly 4 o'clock on Saturday afternoon. We had a lovely day. We've been for a lovely long walk, got to the Downs, which is one of my favourite views. It was a little bit misty, but we're still seeing out to Tenmouth and the daffodils coming up and everything just felt a bit better, a bit more spring-like, even though it was grey and a little bit miserable. On the walk, I cast off a new project. I am really missing having vanilla socks on the go, but I told myself I wasn't going to cast on any more vanilla socks until I'd finished some other sock projects first. I am really trying to get things done and off the needles so that I can really embrace all that creativity and excitement of new projects. But I couldn't be bothered to take the big Flax sweater with me on a dog walk. It doesn't really feel like dog walk knitting now. It's so heavy, although it's just in the round and totally easily, it just felt too heavy. So I pulled out from my sock box, one of my sock boxes under the bed, this cake, which is a very special skein. It's by Die Candy. And I believe it was called Birthday Cake. And it was a colourway for Perth Festival of Yarn, as it was now. It's now, as it was then, it is now the Scottish Yarn Festival. I think it might have been 2018 or 2019. But it typically, that festival hits Hutch's birthday. So Hutch is the dyer behind Die Candy. It's a high twist sock yarn, which I don't usually use. So can I get it to focus? Not really. I'll see if I can get some B-roll. But it's a really high twist, so you can really see the twist of the plies. And it's Hutch's absolute fave for socks. And I must admit, I don't think I've done a high twist sock yet. I've got plenty of yarn like that in stash. So I literally just, it's my one of my favourite methods. It's magic loop. It's a go-to. And 64 stitches cast on. 2x2 rib for 15 rounds. That's all I did when we were wobbling along. I seem to knit quite slowly when I'm on dog walks at the moment. He heard dog and walk and now he's wandering around. Magnus, bed. Magnus, bed. No, he's investigating. So we've come home. Robin slept for most of the walk, so it was quite nice. We kind of ambled along and just chilled and just, you know, pondered life and the universe and everything. And then we came home and Robin and I had a couple of games of Wii bowling, which is good fun. He's actually learning to control the remote himself. And now they've gone out to plant the carrots and I am here to finish catching up with you. So, in other crafty news, I have not touched my cross stitch or my sewing, although I do have plans. What I have been doing in the past, well, the week after my last video, I should say, not recently at all, is I've started making my own bread. I used to make it when I was at uni and I absolutely loved it. And we had this horrendous cleaner in the rented house in my first year who we're pretty sure was having romantic liaisons with the landlord. And she would turn up at silly o'clock and just basically destroy our stuff. She took the rubber feet off of the metal stand that goes in the microwave and effectively blew the microwave up. And I think this is when the PlayStation Portable had just come out. She hoovered, my housemate had left the headphones on the arm of the sofa and she hoovered them up. And it's just, so I used to get up and bake bread basically to try and make sure that nothing else got damaged or went missing. And I used to really enjoy it. And we're going through loaves of bread at such a rate of knots these days. Because Robin has sandwiches at preschool every day and we have toast in the mornings, that I thought I'd start making my own bread. And I finally found the perfect loaf pan. Believe it or not, in a charity shop, Cancer Research UK, their shops have brand new goods in. And I've got this, it's very pretty, it's rose gold. It wasn't a choice, it was all rose gold. To be honest, I probably would have gone for it anyway because it's just so pretty. And I've been baking bread. So we've been doing, sorry, there's great debate now over where the gardening gloves and the watering can are, so we'll have to sort that out in a bit. But yeah, so baking bread. I did a white loaf, first of all, because I had the flour, and then I started wholemeal. And actually, we really like it. It's tricky to carve, so the best thing since sliced bread suddenly makes a lot more sense, because actually slicing your own bread is a pain in the bum. But it's been really successful, and actually I really enjoy it, and especially when it's a cold, miserable day, and we have had quite a few of those lately. It's really nice to have that smell of bread proving that nice yeasty smell, which I suppose is kind of like the smell of a brewery as well in some ways, but there we are. I've also tried my hand at making my own quiche. That went down really well, made that a few weeks ago. And that's about it crafting wise, really. Not a lot else to report. So while I disappeared, let's just do a little bit of life stuff and then you're all caught up and we can crack on with the planned, scheduled footage, videos, etc. Okay, and he's now settled down, so hopefully we'll be calmer. So I think my last video went up 3 or 4 weeks ago now, possibly 3 weeks ago. Immediately after that, the following weekend, my son was poorly, and he needed me. He just needed mummy cuddles, and he's got to come first. So I just abandoned all plans to record and focused on my little boy. No regrets, that's fine. So that was 1 week. I thought, 1 week, what does it matter? 1 week's fine. Gives me more time to get things finished. And then the next weekend, basically by the next weekend, what had happened was my grandma and my mum had simultaneously gone into hospital on emergency admissions. So my mum and grandma lived together. My grandma was 85 now. She turned 85 in hospital or just before. And my mum has Parkinson's disease and they live together and they kind of bumble along okay together. Essentially what happened is my grandma got poorly, and if you watch So Sweet Samuel channel, that's Lindsay is my aunt. My grandma is her mum, and my mum is her sister, if that makes sense. And I live down here in Devon and they all live in Essex. So anyway, on the Tuesday, so grandma went into hospital on Sunday. On the Tuesday, I got a video message or a photo message from my aunt of my mum who'd had a fall at home, and she was like, your mum's in A&E. Okay, so end of the week I went up to Essex to help my aunt by being with my mum in hospital so she could focus on grandma. And then there was a really sweet reunion where grandma was wheeled down to see mum, and it was like lovely, and people on the ward cried, and I thought grandma was going to tell my mum off for getting in hospital, but there we are. So she'd had a fall. I mean, her mum's fall wasn't too bad. She is going to require some surgery. She's broken her nose, but in terms of the types of falls she's had before, this was nothing. Like, she's had so much metal work put in her, so it was kind of the best thing. So then she was in hospital being looked after. So yeah, so that was the next weekend. I went up to Essex to help look after my mum in hospital. My grandma is doing really well. She's at home with Lindsay recuperating. My mum has now gone into respite care, so she is getting the attention she needs as well. And everyone is now thankfully on the mend, so that's great. The following weekend, it was my daughter's anniversary. So for those of you who don't know, my daughter passed away when she was just over a month old, 7 years ago on the 15th of March. And so that weekend was just a quiet weekend. We had the Saturday, my husband and stepfather-in-law took part in the Big Tackle, which is an 8-mile walk and possible pub crawl for Rowcroft Hospice, who supported Grandma, who we lost at New Year. And then on the Sunday, we just wanted to just chill at home. We were just tired. It was an emotional weekend. So again, no recording then either, which is last weekend. And then there's not been a lot of crafting going on either. I did take my knitting to Essex in hospital, but actually, even though I was just sat beside my mum's hospital bed for anything up to 7 hours some days, there wasn't an awful lot of knitting going on, and I'm very, very tired. And that kind of brings me to the other thing, to where there might not be as much content in the next couple of weeks. I've been sleeping. I've literally been falling asleep at the same time as my toddler, 7:30 at night, and sleeping through. I am beyond exhausted. There is something going on with my iron levels. I won't go into too much detail, I won't bore you, but the fatigue is horrendous, and I'm losing every single evening. I'm literally getting up, going to work, clawing my way through work, coming home, crashing out. So it's not sustainable. And I was already going to go to the GP anyway about that. But then, long story sideways, on Monday night, I had a health scare. I have had palpitations occasionally, which is where your heart kind of does an extra beat. I think most people do. For a lot of people, it's a stress response. I have chronically low iron levels, and that can trigger it as well. But it was pretty scary on Monday. I ended up with an ambulance being sent for me. No ambulances, had to get them myself. With a serious question mark over whether I was having a heart attack or some sort of heart episode issue. Luckily, all the tests show that that wasn't the case. It was very frightening. It lasted for hours, and I just need to sort myself out a bit, but it's given me a little bit of a wake-up call, and I want to kind of get a few more things in balance in my life. So that's me. That's what's going on. That's why I've not been around. And that's why this episode is short and a bit frenetic as well. But yeah, that's it. That's you all caught up. So my plan going forward, I've got one more weekend, and then we've got a few plans. We're a bit busy, so I won't be recording certainly on the 6th of April. There won't be a podcast that weekend because I've got plans that will take up the whole weekend. So next weekend, my plan is to start this snowball method for getting rid of my whips. I'm really excited to share that with you. And I hope that you've had a good month, because it's been a long while since I spoke to you. Do drop me anything in the comments that you'd like to share, and I will see you very, very soon. Take care. Bye.